Okay.
It's good timing. It says 6:59 on my computer.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay, we should be live.
All right, I am going to open my Facebook in this other monitor and share as well.
I've shared it to 5 other sites.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, we're live on our site. If nothing else, we'll have a good conversation amongst us.
Well, I know we have at least one person who planned on watching live. He already texted me with a question and said he's looking forward to seeing the live. That was one person. And I also know that the Black Gun Owners Magazine reposted the invitation to watch the meeting after they saw it. I
Okay.
tagged them and they reposted it. So we should have a few people. All right. Hey, I can see myself on live up here. So let me share. Oh, there's a Bill Vincent that's watching. He commented.
Okay.
Shared to my profile. All right, so it's officially 7 o'clock. I'm just gonna let a little music play in the background here and get ready to get started. Give a few more people a chance to sign in and join us, and then get started with our opening announcements and whatnot.
Okay.
All right, let's see. It's supposed to be the clean version. I looked up the clean version of the song. That ain't the clean version. Whatever. How about the instrumental? How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anyway. All right. So anyone who's watching this live, all kinds of tech things going on already, but that's okay. Glad you guys are here to join us watching live. We'll do introductions shortly. I just want to kind of welcome everyone. Glad you're able to be here. Looking forward to having a good discussion just about, basically the tumultuous backlash and fallout and situation that seemed to be a part of the recent decision made by Eagle Productions gun shows. I just want to be clear on this, and I'm probably going to repeat this several times. So for anyone watching, I want to be very perfectly clear about this. This is not a lemon squeezing session. I really hope JSD, some representatives from JSD Supply are watching too. This is not a lemon squeezing session. We're not here to, squeeze acid in anyone's eyes. We're not here to, try to convict anyone with anything that was being done. We're not here to sow division in the, the community of gun enthusiasts. Now, I'll just say this as a disclaimer. I voted for Joe Biden. I'm just gonna get that out there. But I am not in agreement with this push to ban assault weapons and stuff that's coming up now. And I think I think anyone that's anyone that considers yourself a gun enthusiast right now, I think we can all agree that regardless of who you voted for or why, right now is not the time for there to be division in the firearms community. We're going to need unity. We're going to need, solidarity, and being able to say to the federal government and the state governments, we are not in agreement with you infringing upon our rights because of, this recent event that happened, this recent tragedy that happened, and it's definitely a tragedy, and that's got to be addressed. But the guns didn't, the AR-15 that guy was carrying didn't shoot people by itself. So anyway, just throwing that out there.
But
This
Thurston, just one thing. That guy had a
mhm,
handgun as well, and nobody really knows
true.
what firearms he actually used, because he was supposedly deadly accurate, which is kind of making me it's a suspect about where he got his training and stuff. That's all. I just want to.
Yeah, true. Yeah, definitely. I've heard that he had ties to Syria. I haven't done my research on that yet, so I don't want to say that definitively. But anyway, I guess discussing things like that is going to be part of the conversation tonight. But I just want to make sure it's clear to everyone. This isn't, and I'm sure there are some people that are watching that are mad about things that were said or done, and you may not even have all the facts. You may be mad about something that isn't even what you think happened. But regardless of this, I think every gun enthusiast in America can agree right now that divisions among the gun community is not going to help us with the problems that are ahead of us right now. So that's not what this is about. We just want to basically be clear on the way things stand right now and extend some olive branches and make sure that we are all in lockstep moving forward to protect our rights. So if you have any questions that you would like voiced on air, we have time for question and answer session. It is not right now. It will be coming, but you can send a text message to 484 816 8440, and any text messages sent there, they're going to pop up on my computer screen. I will see those messages, and I will make sure that when we get to the question and answer session, they get voiced. If you want to include your name, you may. You don't have to. That's not a requirement. I have one question that's already come in, and we will get to that when we come to the question and answer session. So that will be coming up. That will be forthcoming. In the meanwhile, all right, so we're already a little behind schedule. Eagle Arms Productions has a gun show coming up. I just have a few announcements. Eagle Arm Production has a gun show coming up. Kim, you know the location of that show, I believe you were telling me
It's
earlier.
good. Yeah, the Eagle Arm show is going to be in Morgantown, and just to make sure everybody's clear, there's been a lot of misinformation online about what is and is not going to happen with the Polymer 80 kits. I spoke with Joel. He has not changed his position, and we're going to go into that later. There will be no Polymer 80 kits sold at this gun show or henceforth forward. JSD has been notified of this. So I can't state for what else is going to go on, but I know that from this point, at least, Joel hasn't changed his mind.
Okay, and to be clear, who exactly is Joel?
Joel Kohler is the owner and operator of the Eagle Arm shows. He's
Okay,
the one that
so
makes the arrangements and has all the legal responsibility for that particular activity.
okay, so the leader of the company that organized and hosts that event has said that there will be no Polymer 80 kits sold at that event at this time.
Yes.
Now we know the website said something different, so maybe there's
That's
a
been
little bit of
changed.
okay, it's been changed now. Okay,
Yes,
all right,
sir.
so they're all in alignment. Okay, great. Next announcement, just public service announcement in general. Write to your legislators. That's everyone that's watching. Write to your legislators. Let them know what you're concerned about, whether it's related to gun legislation or not. Write to them, and I don't mean write to the ones that you voted for and the ones that you voted for that won. I mean write to all of them. Even a legislator that you didn't vote for. If you're one of their constituents, you're one of their constituents. Let them know how you feel. That's vitally important. Go donate blood. You see my virtual background here, American Red Cross. Go donate blood. They have a major shortage right now because of the ongoing pandemic, and not everyone is always in a position to go throw a bunch of money at a problem, but we've all got blood. Some people aren't eligible to donate that, but if you've got it and you can, please do so. JSD Supply, if you are watching and you want to join in, the invitation is still open. The number that you can text in, you can, if you guys text me in, hey, I'm a representative of JSD, I want to get in the meeting, I will make sure you get the information so you can come and join in and have your voice heard. I promise you, we are not here to disrespect you or your company or your brand. We're not going to sit here and trash talk you. You will have a chance to voice what it is you want to say. Last week when we said we would be doing this meeting, I believe it was last week or earlier this week, when we said we'd be doing this meeting, you guys did indicate that you would have a representative present, but it seems that you know, a decision was made that that might not be the best idea for you because you were concerned about maybe someone here would try to bash you or something, which I totally understand and respect that. I'm not going to show up somewhere if I know I'm going to get jumped when I walk in the door either. But I assure you that is not the case. We're not here to bash you or to talk trash about you. So you are welcome to come and have your
Hey,
voice heard. So
Thurston, there's
with
one
that,
thing I just want to say. We have no record whatsoever of bashing or ambushing people. In 27 years, we have always treated everyone with respect, but we expect the same in return. So everybody's rights are important to us. I just want to make that clear. There's no justification for concerns, and we look forward to a very brisk and open debate.
Okay. All right. So I want to introduce our guests now. One isn't here yet, but we are expecting Representative Amin Brown of the 190th district. Am I correct?
That's
Of
correct.
the
Yes, sir.
Pennsylvania legislative body, which is here in Philadelphia. Amin had told us that he had another obligation and he would be running late coming in. So we'll look forward to having him here when he's here. And he's been very vocal about trying to protect lives and protect rights at the same time. And we appreciate that because you know, there are extremists on all ends. I don't want to just say both ends. There are extremists on all ends of the gun debate. And what we need is people on that end of the political spectrum to respect the fact that there are more things at stake than just, you know, what they think the statistics are, which even aren't always accurate. But you know, neither here nor there about what's accurate or not. We appreciate the fact that he's been willing to extend the olive branch of, hey, let's work together to try to ensure the protection of your rights while I'm trying to accomplish what I want to accomplish as well. So we're looking forward to having him in. And of course, on your screen with me is Mr. Kim Sulphur, who is the founder and president of Firearms Owners Against Crime, which, as he said, has a 27-year history of gun rights advocacy in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I had never heard of the organization until about a year ago, and I am a proud card-carrying member of Firearms Owners Against Crime. And just in being transparent, I'm being objective here today as we have this presentation, but I am a member of the organization, and my name is Thurston Moon. I'm a school teacher and I'm an American Red Cross instructor. I teach lifeguard training and CPR, first aid, and that kind of stuff, in addition to being an elementary school teacher. So that's who all of us are. And looks like we're pretty much on schedule right now. Hopefully Representative Brown will be with us in the next couple of minutes. Kim, right now on the agenda, we just have an opportunity for some opening thoughts or opening statements from you and from Amin. So I'll let you get started, and hopefully by the time you get through your opening statements or opening thoughts, he'll be joining us.
Okay. I think the best thing we can do is to put into place the reality of what happened. And I want to preface this with the statement that one of the most important things that a Second Amendment activist can do is to be well informed. If you're more well informed than the policymakers, you're more effective as an advocate. And to that end, I was made aware of a meeting by Representative Brown, who told me that there was going to be a meeting of law enforcement in Harrisburg to discuss these issues, the issues of crime in the urban areas, and also specifically the growing problem of the criminal element getting a hold of these Polymer 80 kits. And knowing what happens with the crowd in Harrisburg on the floor of the House and the floor of the Senate, it's important to be able to argue these points, good, bad, or ugly. I don't like to be surprised. So I drove to Harrisburg on my own dime, and we met with law enforcement from multiple agencies. The Attorney General's office was there, as was Representative Brown, his staff, and Joel Kohler from Eagle Arms. They have asked me not to talk about who else was there for security reasons and various other things. And some of the evidence that I saw, I can't repeat. So I hope you can respect that, because I respect their request to me. But I can tell you what I saw was shocking. The amount of involvement of these types of kits, the sheer volume of these being purchased with no ID shown whatsoever. The undercover buys, the agents I spoke with, is clearly a problem. And so when Joel Kohler was shown this information, it really, really unsettled him. And for a number of reasons. I'm going to tell you why. Anybody that's a Second Amendment activist that doesn't know what Everytown and Moms Demand Action are doing with their millions and millions of dollars, going after Springfield Armory, going after Gun Broker, going after FFL dealers, for what I consider to be many times unreasonable and stupid arguments. The attorney and the legal people with Eagle Arms were very clearly aware of the liabilities involved. One of these lawsuits could completely shut him down and bankrupt him. Whether or not he wins or not, that's immaterial. And unfortunately, and for all the gun owners listening, gun owners don't do a good job of supporting legal actions when people stand their ground on these types of issues. Joel Kohler and Eagle Arms employs people, putting them out of job simply because we have a vendor that doesn't do what Polymer 80 requires in the sales of their products. And I have their legal page ready to go to show people. And I'll do that right now. So I'm going to share the screen, and here's the legal page. Let's see. And there's the legal page from Polymer 80. It lays out all the things that they want people to do and why. What is an 80% lower frame? To purchase a Polymer 80 products or who utilize this website, you must agree to the following before proceeding. I am not prohibited from possessing firearms under federal state law. And there's a long list of things here. These are the things that Joe Kohler would like to have seen done. If this had been done, there wouldn't be an issue. Polymer 80s would still be being sold at his show. But for whatever reason, it isn't being done. And so Joel Kohler made a decision at that meeting with the law enforcement that he was not going to take and continue to allow the sale of these because basically it was causing a problem. So this was laid out, and he has every right to, I don't know who's joining us, Antonio Porterfield?
Somebody? Yeah, I noticed that. I guess that's someone that just came to watch the meeting. I don't know.
From State Representative Ahmed Brown's office.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So when he made this decision, he made it based on the legalities involved, the realities of whoever's watching. You have to understand that New York, New Jersey, DC, Connecticut, these things are illegal. And if you don't know who's buying them from out of state, there's an additional legal liability. So for Joel Kohler to knowingly allow that to happen puts him at risk of losing everything he owns, including all of his personal goods, because he's personally responsible. And so all we did was, after that meeting, the Attorney General and his people wanted us to sign on to what he was doing. And we told him in no uncertain terms, we do not support Senate Bill 413 and 414 coming out from Senator Hughes. We do not support a ban on these kits because everybody has a right to buy these things. but we do support the right of Joe Kohler to make a decision based on his business to determine what is and is not sold. Just as like he wouldn't allow opioids to be sold or whatever, or cookies. So that's the only thing that we said. And unfortunately, we don't have control over our Attorney General and his statements that he made public really rocked the Second Amendment community. And because we're public here, I'm not going to say my personal opinion of Attorney General Shapiro, but I've known him since the day he stepped into the legislature, and we have never, ever endorsed him or given him any way, shape, or form any reason to think that we believe in his cause. If you can hold, Thurston, if you could take over, I got Representative Brown calling me in. So I'll be right back here.
Okay. All right, so there's an
Yes,
opening, just an opening thought from Mr. Stolfer. I have more questions coming in. I've got them here from at least 3 different people that have sent some message in. Antonio Porterfield, is it? I guess someone else from your office is on the phone with Mr. Stolfer now. Are you going to be representing Representative Brown this evening, or is he still going to be joining us himself? Are you there? Okay.
Yes, sir. I just got off the phone. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was asking Mr. Porterfield if he was there. I didn't hear him. I was asking him a question. All right, so I have this isn't one of the phone in questions. This is just me asking you a question. Just want to kind of get a feel for what happened here. So this meeting that occurred between Mr. Joel, what was his last name?
Joe Kohler.
Mr. Kohler, and I imagine he was called in because he owns this event that was
Hang on just a second, Thurston.
Sure. All right, well, while we're waiting on Kim to come back, I'm just going to say thanks again, everyone, for being here. Hope we can get all of your questions.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. So I understand why Mr. Kohler was called in, because he owns that event or whatever. Just for transparency, how and why did you end up getting invited into that? Like, what does a political, much less one of many different political action committees, like how do you end up getting an invitation? What were the people from Ceasefire PA invited? Were they invited as well? Like how is it that they decided, oh, we need to have this meeting about these dangerous weapons, let's get Kim Stolfer in here?
Representative Brown requested that I be there because of my reputation in the legislature. I wanted to be there because for me to go into the legislators' offices and they bring up this issue with 70 and 50 of these kits being sold and basically satchels and walking out after dropping 38K in cash, all of this is known. This is in the Pennsylvania legislature. I just spoke with 2 representatives after dinner here. I was telling you, and they know what's going on because law enforcement briefs them all the time. And so I need to know to represent gun owners properly, to be able to argue these points legitimately. And so I wanted to be there. I wanted to be well informed.
Got you. So to be clear, I really like the feel I'm getting from this. I just want to make sure I'm clear. Iman Brown is registered as a Democratic representative, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And when this meeting was being scheduled, he said, I respect the rights of gun enthusiasts enough that I want this representative of a political action committee that is pro-gun to be present when we have this meeting.
Yes. Now, if I can
appreciate that. I can respect that.
I met Representative Brown, and matter of fact, he's joining us right now. I met him over his interest in initially sponsoring a bill that would have been considered as, in our view, as anti-gun. When I explained to him what the problems were, and to his credit, I was really impressed with Representative Brown and how he was willing to listen to the arguments, and to set aside his desires to push a ceasefire bill type of bill and actually look at what the problem is and to work towards a good piece of legislation to target career recidivist criminals. And that's what we're working on. And career recidivist criminals are the ones that are buying these Polymer 80 kits in batches and bunches. And they've got like a cottage industry going on, putting them together and then transferring them to crime. Maybe we should ask Representative Brown to talk about these issues, but I was very, very taken aback by the sheer quantity of this. And in my opinion, from what my experience shows me, this is going to have an extremely bad effect on our ability to justify the continued sale of these things. And believe me, I'm a hobbyist. I like to put things together. I modify my own firearms, but for someone to go in and say, I want 70 of these kits, I don't know who's listening, but 70 of these kits clearly would be an indicator to me. And then without any ID, I mean, you have to wonder what's the purpose of this? And do we have a responsibility to consider, one, the effect on the vendor, the show distributor, the show operator, Joel Kohler, and to brush off those concerns, I think is in my opinion, irresponsible. And I believe in human life. I mean, I'm a Marine. I've seen the opposite side, and somebody probably is going to make fun of this, and you can do that if you want. But the fact of the matter is I care about my fellow human beings. And while I know laws don't stop criminals, the fact of the matter is that our personal responsibility in getting involved does. And from the Wright and Rossi study all the way up through Dr. Lott's studies, it's shown that the average citizen can have a marked impact no matter what area you're involved in. And that works in the legislature, and that works in private industry and business. So responsibility, personal responsibility is high on my list of important things.
I'm going to share a little bit of a personal anecdote there based on that. Like, I like what you said there, because I mean, as a newer gun enthusiast, I'll say, you know, when I first started seeing messages about, you know, things circling around on social media about, oh, you know, they're trying to, you know, make sure we can't buy this kind of gun or this kind of kit or this whatever and this and this and that. And I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like a good idea, because I have figured out, like you said, that by and large, it's been proven, we can see time and time again, that stricter regulations don't stop people from breaking a law. Like, if people are speeding down the street in front of your house, lowering the speed limit more from where it already is. The speed limit in front of your house is 25 miles an hour and people are driving through at 40. Lowering the speed limit to 15 isn't going to make people drive slow. It's
Right.
just, it's not going to make a difference. And I mean, that's common sense. And I realize that. But at the same token, I really like what you said about, even though a stricter regulation on who can buy these kits isn't going to stop a criminal from getting a weapon and committing a crime, we still have a personal responsibility. And that related to me, because as a teacher, I can tell you on more than one occasion, I've been driving my car through a neighborhood that, you know, didn't even service students that I taught, and seeing some kids in a fight. And I've pulled my car over to break up the fight. Because
Yes.
it's like, I'm not going to let this kid sit here and get his teeth smashed in. What is he still going to get his teeth smashed in school tomorrow? Maybe, but I'm not going to let it happen while I'm watching.
That's the problem
yeah.
with our society. We detach ourselves from that responsibility, and I don't. And I know you don't. And when I go and I teach concealed carry seminars, what I talk about, I hold the laws relating to guns book up and I wave it at everybody. I say, there's 148 pages of laws here. And then one of my trademarks is I throw the book and I say, there's none of these laws are any good, because one, they don't push them up against criminals, and the criminals don't respect them either. The only thing they respect is force. But at the same time, you know, we have to understand that, you know, we can't allow ourselves to sell products that we're knowingly going to crime. 70
Right.
kits, 50 kits. I mean, there's been a lot of things said by some of these YouTubers and stuff that's completely false. And
Hello.
Representative Brown, thank you for joining
Hey.
us.
Hey, no problem. Excuse my tardiness. I'm just getting back to the district. I had to go suit up.
Your camera's off. We can't see you.
Yeah. I can't turn it on. I got somebody standing behind me, standing next to me.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll turn
All
it
right.
on.
Well,
in a few.
we're kind of at a section right now where I was just inviting any opening thoughts that you want to share, and we're a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. Like we'll make it work. Did you based on just what you know of the situation that we're specifically addressing, which is the Polymer 80 ghost gun kits, whatever you want to call them, what initial thoughts would you like to share?
Well, the initial thought that comes to mind is while I was on the expressway coming back to Philadelphia, I got alerts and missed calls and messages from the local police department saying that we just got 3 more completed Polymer 80s off the street in broad daylight. So and the criminals who they confiscated them from weren't legally allowed to have them, which is the reason why we started this whole conversation around the need of lessening the accessibility of these Polymer 80 kits to any and everyone. So.
Okay, now based on what you just said, I'm trying to be a fair moderator here. Okay, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with you at all, but I'm trying to be a fair moderator. Listening through the ear of the average law-abiding gun enthusiast, why should my access to a Polymer 80 kit be restricted because somebody who didn't have a right to own one was caught with one today?
You still have the access to them. You still have unlimited access. It's just that you can't go to a certain gun show to purchase. So if you're doing the right thing, you wouldn't have a problem with online. Hold on.
Okay. Sounded like he had something else he had to address, but I definitely saw where he was going on. I'm picking up what he was putting down there. What he's saying is this isn't about taking away the access of someone who's legally eligible to, go get one of these. It's just about making sure that someone who shouldn't have access doesn't have access. And
Yes,
on
sir.
that note, I do want to say I was talking to a rep from JSD, and I told him during the course of the conversation, I promised him that I would say this during tonight's event. I do want to say to JSD, I appreciate the fact that JSD has made a commitment to ensuring they abide by the manufacturer's guidelines in who should and shouldn't have access to their weapon, which is pretty much in alignment with what Representative Brown is saying. Is we don't want these available to people who should not legally have access to a gun anyway. So I appreciate that JSD has made that decision and that commitment. I guess at this time, they still won't be able to sell those kits at the Eagle Arms Show. It's no problem, Representative Brown.
Yeah.
At this time, JSD still won't be able to sell those kits at the Eagle Arms shows, but it's good to know. We all agree with the decision of JSD to ensure that they comply with the manufacturer's guidelines moving forward. That is a good thing. That is a decent decision to have been made.
Yes. Yeah. So I appreciate you completing my thoughts, but that's exactly how I feel. This decision was not to take away people's rights to be able to purchase when, where, anytime they want. It was just that one avenue, criminals abuse the access. They abused this quote unquote loophole, and they were buying dozens at a time. There's no need, in my opinion, there's no need for someone to buy 36 to 70 kits and then take them back to a urban community, put them together, test them, and then sell them to anyone. that's not okay. So I'm not against the accessibility for people trying to do the right thing or that do not have ill intentions.
Okay. There's definitely, I feel like there's definitely a thin line there between, trying to determine someone's intentions and what's right. But I can definitely get on board with there's no way you're going to convince me that someone decided to buy 40 Polymer 80s and just sit at home and put them together every day for the rest of the year. Like I'm just going to sit here all month long and just put together guns for no reason other than the fact that I'm doing it for fun. I believe $20,000 to spend on having fun this month. All right. Okay, so the next thing we have on the agenda is some statistical and anecdotal data, just making the case for why there is an issue with with 80% lowers, which I pretty much think we've already done. We've already touched on that and discussed that. Kim, you already shared the manufacturer's guidelines and discussed those, so that's been done. Kim and I'm sorry, Mr. Stolfer and Representative Brown, do you have any specific statistics that you would like to share with us about guns that have been assembled from these kits and what's been going on with them? Anything that won't violate, like you said, there are things that you've been asked not to share publicly because it might interfere with ongoing investigations. But outside of that, is there something specific, any facts, figures, numbers that you feel like might help someone understand the situation better?
Yes. So one fact that I can share is one of the most recent ones was that within the last 30 days, I believe just in one police precinct in West Philadelphia, which is the 18th police precinct, out of the 35 guns that were taken off the streets due to a car stop or while a crime was being committed, there were at least 13 of the 35 that were Polymer 80 kits, and they were completed firearms and loaded.
Okay.
If I could, Representative Brown, could you tell people about the that one buy you saw of the 70 kits with the guy that peeled off the cash?
Oh, the one guy, yeah. So I witnessed the guy buy. It was over 50, and I believe it was over almost. He pulled out watts of $100 bills to pay for his load. Yeah, and that's what drew the, enough is enough.
And I want to make sure we're clear on this. This happened in front of you. You happened to be at an Eagle Arm show when this happened, and you saw it happen?
Yeah, I was at an Eagle Arm show and saw it with my own eyes. Yes.
Now, out of curiosity, just for my own personal question, were you at the Eagle Arm show because you were looking to purchase something for yourself? Are you a firearms enthusiast yourself?
I am a firearms enthusiast, but for that particular visit, I was not there purchasing for myself. No.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Thank you very much for shedding some light on that. All right. So to be clear, I live in West Philadelphia. I believe in the 18th or 19th precinct jurisdiction or whatever. But like I said, I'm trying to be a fair moderator here. So for the sake of the argument, I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's really sad that y'all are having all those problems with guns in Philadelphia, but I really just don't think it's fair that I can't go to an Eagle Arm show and just buy one of these cash anymore. Now I have to go online and order it and wait for it, or I have to find a gun shop that sells them. That just really seems unfair to me. And as a member of the gun community who feels like I am being unfairly treated because of this, what can you say to me that can console me in that regard? Like, why should I, what makes it okay for me to have to put up with this?
I'll say to you that there's other gun shows that possibly might sell these items. This agreement was with one promoter.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Thurston, I'd like to say something right here.
Mhm.
I've been exchanging messages with a guy who's got a screen name, Boudreaux Rim. And he's called me and Representative Brown a liar.
Okay.
And I take offense to that because this man hasn't been what we've been, seen what we've seen, but this is the kind of lies that have promoted the kind of unscrupulous behavior online. And I just wanted to call this person out because I have no idea who this person is. He doesn't prove anything. He just says, you're a liar continuously. That's the kind of debate we're having instead of a factual debate. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, I definitely, it's ridiculous when you want to hide behind a screen name and have no facts and details and statistics. Okay, so I want to throw some of my own thoughts in now before we get into, hold on, we just covered, all right, we're going to come back to why this is a problem for the gun community, which, well, actually, that's what I guess my comments are, just kind of towards answering that question and just some other things on my mind. So one thing that I've heard repeatedly since recently, within the last 14 months, I'll say, becoming a firearms owner myself, is people need to stop trying to pass new gun laws, and they just need to enforce the policies that are already in place. So this isn't so much a question for you guys. This is just a thought that I wanted to share. I really want the gun community, liberal, conservative, whatever, none of that matters, and the not gun community to consider what just happened here with the Polymer 80 being sold by JSD at Eagle Arm shows. What just happened is nobody tried to pass any new legislation. Nobody tried to make any new policies. What they literally did is exactly what that argument was. You need to enforce the policies that are already in place if you want to do this. That's exactly what just happened. And what I saw was a whole bunch of uproar. I mean, personally, I don't know what Representative Brown saw or what Kim saw. Actually, I do know some of what Kim saw because we talked about it. But I'm really disheartened by the fact that for 13 and a half months, I've been, as a new member of the gun community, I've been hearing they need to stop trying to pass new procedures and policies and just enforce the ones that are already there. Then the first time I see a genuine effort by a legislator and a vendor and a promoter or a host of an event to say, you know what, this manufacturer has this policy in place for their product, and we're going to 100% enforce this policy that they have in place. Oh my God, they're infringing on our rights. Bro, calm down. Calm down. This is not new legislation. This is not a new policy. This is not a new procedure. This is literally somebody saying, we were not ensuring compliance with the manufacturer's policies and procedures that were already in place. And we are going to make sure that that happens moving forward. Okay. Now, in my conversations with JSD this week, they did tell me, they commented under one of our posts, as a matter of fact, on our Instagram page for Firearms Owners Against Crime. They said, we have always been in compliance with the manufacturer's guidelines. Okay. That's what you said. And maybe that was the intention, but I don't think that's what was always happening. But the good thing, like I said earlier in this broadcast, is JSD has committed to moving forward, making sure that that does happen, even if it wasn't before. And I don't want to dwell or focus on the past and say, you weren't doing it, you said you were, and we can prove it, and you're saying we were doing it and we can prove that we were. I don't even want to get into that, because as I said in the beginning, this isn't about pointing fingers at each other and sowing division among the gun community. We need to be in lockstep moving forward, ensuring that we are working together to ensure that we have the rights to defend and protect those around us. And I have a close friend, a fraternity brother actually, who's always saying there is no proof of a link between legal gun ownership and lower crime. Okay, fine. I don't even want to talk about that. Kim, I see your eyebrows going up. You're like, yes, there is. I see. But regardless of whether there is a link between that statistic or not, If I want to have a tool available to defend my family, if we're out at a family dinner and someone walks in and starts shooting up the spot, whether or not there's a statistic, I can't walk up to that guy and say, you know, statistically, you shouldn't have come to rob this place because there's been an increase of legal gun ownership within the last 90 days. No, I want to have a tool to defend my family. And I think we can all in the gun community agree that it is important that we don't continue to see a rise in restrictions on our rights to defend ourselves and our loved ones, especially, excuse me, Kim, not trying to call you out, to the ones that look like me that are watching this. We know that these laws are impacting us the most. You're not going to convince me that there are more Black people locked up for gun crimes just because Black people like to commit crimes with guns more. No, it's because we have a spotlight on us. So when it happens, we are being disproportionately affected. So anyway, I'm done with my soapbox on that. I'm talking too much. All right. So we've discussed why some of the statistics. We've discussed why this is a problem for the gun community. And I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but to touch on that further, if we continue to not take any action at all, it won't be long before the Attorney General is trying to pass even more laws, and we want to avoid that. We talked about good faith, and I'm just going down the agenda here, Mr. Stouffer. We talked about good faith in protecting lives, and you know what it means to not just turn a blind eye when you know something illegal is happening. And we already talked about JSD's commitment to follow the manufacturer's guidelines and what exactly Eagle Arms has done. And we've also discussed that you can still access these kits. Pennsylvania residents can still go online and order these, or find another gun show, as Representative Brown said, or maybe you even know just a local distributor, a local gun shop in your area that's selling them. They should be, you know, complying with the manufacturer's guidelines and checking your ID and doing all those background checks and everything that the manufacturer said they're doing. So there's that. So with that, I want to move into our Q&A, 7:46. So we're about 6 minutes behind schedule now. We're supposed to have time for this Q&A session. So we're going to go into that. I am going to pull up my text messages and try to go in order here. First one came in about a half hour before we got on air. Mr. Stouffer, this is directed towards you. And I quote, "Why did a gun rights group meet with Attorney General's office and agree to self-regulate like the Pennsylvania Attorney General announced last week? If Shapiro was just going to sue the federal government to try to force the ATF to actually regulate non-firearms anyway." I'm not sure.
If I take the gist of that, he's talking about where I said that Joel Kohler at Eagle Arms had every right.
Hold on one second. I am pasting it in the chat just in case I didn't read it so you could understand it, so you can look at it while you're answering. So I just sent it in the chat. So go ahead.
I think what he's asking about is, why did I use the term self-regulate? Because it's a part of the sale of firearms that every FFL does, owner does. They see someone come in, they don't have a good feeling about it. They decide, I'm not going to sell the gun, for whatever reason. Maybe he came in and his girlfriend dumped out 5 different IDs on the countertop or something. But in Joel's case, I talked about the legalities of this and how for Joel to get so many people from out of state come in, they buy these types of products. That's a crime. He is an accessory to the crime that's committed by selling to an out-of-state person. It's prohibited. The same thing happens with selling to underage people, kids. These are all issues that Joel Kohler has a right. And, the Second Amendment's not the only thing in the Bill of Rights. And the property rights of people must be respected as well. And this is his property. And I think many people in the Second Amendment community are losing sight of the fact that he's just talking about his show. He's talking about this product, he doesn't want sold at it. And there are legal liabilities to it. And he has every right to do that. And we are supporting his right to make that decision. Would we make that same decision? I doubt it. Maybe we would. I don't know. Knowing the same circumstances, Well, we'd have to see. But the fact of the matter is that we are going to respect his right to do that. And at the same time, we're going to work to try and hold these people responsible that are doing this. That's what Representative Brown and us and I are doing. FOAC is doing. We're working proactively to go after them. But if you decide you don't like what Eagle Arms did, then you don't support the whole Bill of Rights, just one tiny piece of it. And that is unfortunate.
Understood. Representative Brown, did you want to add anything to that one? Well, I guess that really wasn't directed towards you. So let's move on to the next one. So this question came in about 7:15. I'm going to post it in the chat as well, but I'm going to read it out loud for anyone who's watching that can't see the chat. So it says, why are there people who think the government does not want to take our guns away? How delusional are these folks? We need to stop HR 8 and HR 1446 unless I missed something in these bills and I'm misinformed. Okay, so Representative Brown, I'm an independent voter, but I'm registered as a Democrat, and I did vote in the Democratic primary. So I'm going to, pardon me, but I'm going to throw you in front of the bus on this one. Why are there people that think the government does not want to take our guns away? Usually when people think about gun grabbing, they're thinking about Democrats. You're a Democrat representative in our state legislature. So I'm going to ask you, why are there people who think you're not trying to take guns away when obviously you are? Sarcasm there, but I'll let you answer that.
This is a simple one. I personally am not trying to do any of that. I understand that my community, we need the right to be able to defend ourselves. Amen. Just like you just mentioned. You said you want to be able to have a tool if someone comes in an establishment and trying to cause some harm. So look, I get it. My community need firearms to protect themselves, but then at the same time, we have a certain population of people who want to do harm to people with firearms. So look, I don't know who's trying to take gun rights away. I'm not on the list.
All right. Okay.
By the way, Thurston, just one thing. HR 8, HR 1446 are both federal bills.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I caught that. But I just figured, he'd be in a position to, speak on that behalf. All right. So next question. I think I skipped one because someone, someone sent 4 questions and I was only seeing the timestamp from the 4th question. So I'm sorry, I skipped one. 7:10 p.m. I think this might be one of my relatives that I invited to watch because there's a mention that the word cousin is in here, but it says, why are people saying the government is trying to take our guns? That isn't true. Okay, so I guess we just kind of addressed that. Representative Brown just kind of addressed that. He said he's not trying to take guns. There's all kinds of jokes and wives' tales about how much you can trust politicians or whatever, but I feel like he's genuine in that. We did all just hear President Biden, for whom I voted, on national television saying, hey, we need to ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines, which I don't agree with that. And I feel like I don't feel like the high capacity magazine or the weapon is what committed the crime. So there's different stances on that, but there was that. Says the gun show loopholes need to be changed. Well, I think we've kind of addressed that throughout the whole meeting. What about the gun show loopholes? Private sellers can sell guns without doing a background check. That's one way they are getting guns. Private sellers can sell guns without a background check. I think I'd like to address that one. So, yeah, I see you shaking your head. So now I'm not an expert on guns. I recently became a gun. Like I said, it was like within the last 14 months was the first time matter of fact, it was within the last 2 years was the first time I even touched the gun since I got out of the Coast Guard back in like 2000. So I spent about 18 years without even touching a gun. So I'm not an expert by any means, but my understanding, and Mr. Slofer, you would know, correct me if I'm wrong, even a private seller must go through a broker or something
thing it's called, that does the background checks and whatnot, and they actually facilitate the exchange of the weapon. You give the gun to the broker, who ensures that the person you're selling it to passes all their in Pennsylvania. They ensure that that person passes all the necessary checks before they hand the gun to that person. Is that correct?
To a degree.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania, since 1931, we have not allowed private sale of handguns, period.
Okay.
Doesn't happen. That doesn't mean you can't
well, it
buy a
happens,
gun
but not legally.
well, yeah. Yeah, those are the ones that's supposed to go to the Crossbar Hotel. At the same time, the only narrow exception to that is the private sale of rifles or shotguns. And it's
Okay.
important to point out that here's where the courts fail. Anybody that sells a firearm, like one of these Polymer 80 guns that's assembled to a criminal, the Philadelphia DA is a disaster. He doesn't use the sections in the law. For instance, you sell a gun to somebody who commits a crime with it, you're civilly and criminally responsible for those crimes committed with a gun. They don't do that.
Okay.
A straw purchase sale, you can get up to 23 years for state charges alone. We don't do that. 9 months probation is the norm. So, and I am a court certified expert in Pennsylvania firearms law. So you have to go to an FFL dealer, a federally licensed firearms dealer, to transfer a handgun. There's no private transfers allowed. And there's another thing too. It is a state and federal felony to transfer or to give someone one of these Polymer 80 guns that's assembled that you bought. And that's why they go into these shows and try to do cash and carry, because if they go online and show that they bought 80 of these types of kits, and all of a sudden law enforcement, for whatever reason, tracks it back, the sale of these guns to this area, and they've got these database programs, they're able to track down who's committing the crimes, and the crimes start growing in a certain area, then they can legitimately point their finger at that person and say, did you buy them? You know, and they can ask and try to find out, what did he do with the guns? You know, you got 50 kits, and they come in and they get a search warrant based on reasonable belief, and all of a sudden you don't have 50 of these types of guns in your house.
I lost them in a boating accident.
Well, yeah. For whatever reason, but the fact of the matter is that the cash and carry part of this is inhibiting our ability to stop violent criminals. So yes, you cannot buy.
I believe this is one of my cousins that's texting me from Washington, actually. So yeah, Matthew or John or David, one of my cousins out there. Hey fam, how you doing? Thanks for watching. Okay. The next question I see came in at 7:21. Oh, addressed specifically to you. Why does Kim believe that the burden of responsibility for this issue falls on the vendor and not the purchaser? And I'm sending that in chat as well.
That's incorrect. If they've got that impression, that's completely wrong. The burden is on the purchaser, but it's also on the vendor for not complying with Polymer 80's requirements. Now, going in with cash and buying something without doing what Polymer 80 suggested, and I can put up the legal page again if people want, in and of itself presents a liability to Polymer 80 because they're a legitimate manufacturer of these kits. And if ATF sees something like this, and ATF is at these shows too, then what happens when they use that as a lever to go to Congress and say we have to ban the complete sale of these, just like they did with the SPAS 12 shotguns and the revolving cylinder shotguns? They regulated them as NFA weapons. There are public policy concerns here that are far beyond the mere sale of these types of kits and what Eagle Arms did. And I'm looking at the big picture. And we really have to, because many ways, a lot of gun owners are naive and not thinking down the road of how these anti-gun groups are going to manipulate Congress and our state legislature to push these kind of public policy problems. And Representative Brown can tell you this. I mean, we've got Senator Hughes already introduced 2 bills on this, and there's another one by another state rep that's done this. And we track all that. Anybody wants to see that, go to our website. If you haven't gone to our website and looked at the legislation, I mean, we've got 50 anti-gun bills this session alone, and it's not even 3 months into the current session. So No, I don't believe it's responsibility only of the vendor or the purchaser, but it becomes a responsibility of the gun show promoter if he can't take and reasonably decide what kind of products are being sold if they're not following the manufacturer's guidelines.
Okay. All right. Representative Brown, we want to be respectful of your time. We're coming close to our end of the session here. Thanks for being here. Don't leave just yet, though. The next few questions, if you want to chime in, feel free, but they are directed specifically to Kim. Kim, I told you about a gentleman by the name of John Crump, who had a bunch of questions for you, and I promised him I would voice his questions. So in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to try to keep your answers concise, but I'm going to kind of just rapid fire these questions to you. You ready?
You want me to answer them individually?
Yeah, I'm going to do one at a time, but just try to keep it short. I hate to cut you off, but we did say we were going to try to keep this down to, roughly an hour. So, all right, so here we go. Number one, does the FOAC president still believe that there still needs to be a paper trail?
A paper trail for the Polymer 80s? I'm assuming that's what he means.
I'm assuming that's what he means too, because that's what this is all about.
Well, what John Crump asked me about is would we support a paper trail for the purchase of these things? And I says, we don't support registration in any way, shape, or form of firearms, but law enforcement can't take action without a paper trail. Cash and carry defeats the whole or a big part of the investigative procedures. So I support and we support what Polymer 80 said needs to be done. And
okay. So that's the answer on that. You agree with the manufacturer that there should be certain checks. Doesn't necessarily mean a gun registration, but you need checks.
No gun registration. Matter of fact, right. I'm one of the plaintiffs in 2000. We spent $45,000 against the state police record of sale database. And I'd be willing to bet nobody that's commented so far contributed to that.
All right, number two, an internal email the FOAC president talks about the AG going off script. Did you help the attorney general write the script for, I guess, the recent press conference about Polymer 80s?
Hell no. We didn't get, matter of fact, we didn't even mention it. The attorney general's office wanted us to come out with a news release praising the attorney general. I refused to. The only thing I said in our news release was that we supported Joel Kohler's decision to stop the sale of these kits at his shows, period.
Gotcha. Okay. Does the FOAC president still believe that these kits should be banned in certain areas?
No, I never said they should be banned in certain areas.
Gotcha. How many meetings has FOAC had with the attorney general?
Never had a meeting with the attorney general. Had a meeting with his people, his law enforcement staff, with Representative Brown. One meeting, one.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
By the way, that's called a leading question in a courtroom.
Oh, I get like, have you stopped beating your wife yet?
Yes.
Like one of those type questions.
There you go.
All right. Eagle Arm says that there was no external pressure. In an email from the FOAC, it is said that pressure came from law enforcement and from Representative Brown, which is true. So was there no external pressure, or was there pressure for them to take action on Polymer 80s?
Representative Brown brought the issue to the attention of Joel Kohler. It was a private agreement. That's it. Now, Representative Brown can comment on this because he knows more about this than I do. That's, if you're still there.
There was no, we applied no pressure. Like, I didn't apply any pressure. I had a gentleman's conversation with the owner. I explained to him what was going on in my community and communities that are similar. And he understood where I was coming from. And it was clear. It was very clear that this was an issue. And he made a conscious decision to cease sales of this item at his shows only.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Lastly, it says the FOAC president said the final straw was JSD not handing over customer information to law enforcement. is it FOAC's stance that they should have turned over customer information without a subpoena?
No, it's not. Now, was I made aware that law enforcement asked them? Yes, that's what I was told by Joel Kohler. Now, would a reasonable man consider complying with that or seeing what needed to be done? Would I ask for a warrant? Depending on how they asked. Okay, what evidence they showed me. That would be up to me as a businessman, as a vendor. But here again, we go back to not complying with the Polymer 80 manufacturer's requirements for what to collect. So, I mean, at what point are we not responsible for our brother? Right. That, no. If they're going to demand issues or information, they need a subpoena. But how do you subpoena nothing? Zero from zero, zero.
You subpoenaed to prove that it isn't there. All right. That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's see. Back to my text messages. Oh, we got another one here. This is from the same one who asked about the responsibility falling on the vendor and not the purchaser. This is from the same person. Why is Kim okay with preemptive bans on legally purchased non-firearm items? I think you've already been clear on that, but I'll let you rephrase it and answer it again if you want. Let me put it in the chat.
Okay, could you, because I didn't catch all.
Okay, it says, why is Kim okay with preemptive bans on legally purchased non-firearm items? In other words, they're saying, well, a Polymer 80 kit is not a gun, so why are you trying to preemptively ban it if it was legally purchased?
Well, if I wanted to play philosophical word games, I could, because if it's not a firearm, why are we debating two Second Amendment issues? I mean, but at the same time, I'm not in support of a preemptive ban on anything. Government doesn't have any right here. But I mean, if you want to really look at this logically, what that question is a non sequitur. I mean, if the Polymer 80 is not a firearm, then drop the Second Amendment argument. If the Polymer 80 is a firearm, then you have to wonder why they're not complying with the manufacturer guidelines. So they're trying to play a little bit of hopscotch between the lines, and there is no support for a preemptive ban. Government's too damn big in the first place, but gun owners don't want to seem to. We got 5 million gun owners in Pennsylvania. When I go to Harrisburg, there's 150 anti-gunners standing around pushing gun control, and there's 5 or 6 or 8 of us. What the hell's wrong with the rest of these guys? They're worried about Polymer 80s. They're not in Harrisburg. Get your ass to Harrisburg.
Accurate. Okay, I can dig it. All right. We got another question came in. Oh, we getting popular now. This is from the same one who was asking about self-regulation. The same person who was asking about self-regulation. Those Polymer 80 guidelines that keep getting mentioned as their requirement is only their requirement for folks buying directly through Polymer 80's website. Their website policies don't govern. That's not so much a question as a comment.
Yeah, that's a statement where, okay, we didn't have to do that. But that'll be okay when they ban everything because of the cash and carry sales, because they use JSD sales as a reason. And how many others are out there? And they create this debate, this vacuum of saying, well, gee, who else is doing this? Just providing these types of kits to criminals, and say, well, we have to regulate them. There is no defense against not following the Polymer 80 legal guidelines. They're there for a reason, because it satisfies the ATF requirements to sell these. So in the absence of these, what does that do? That makes the ATF all pissed off. Now, what do? They go to Congress and they say, gee, we have to ban these. Who wins here? Who loses? And we have to see through that.
Right. So that feeds back into what we were saying earlier about why is this a concern for the gun community, the larger gun community? Because if we continue to allow the non-gunners, the other side or the other sides, to think that we don't give a F about anything except my right to own what I want to own, nothing else matters, then we have no bargaining chips to come to the table with.
Right.
We have no way of saying, hey, listen, we can handle making sure, or well, not making sure, we can handle, you know, efforts to comply with the guidelines in place. You don't need stronger guidelines. You need to enforce the ones you already have, and we'll do what we can to help you enforce those. So chill. Versus screw you and your regulations, and next thing you know, we're holed up at the Alamo because, you know, the whole rest of the country says screw y'all since you don't care about us.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So I'm gonna ask this question now. Man, this is really throwing you in front of the bus, Kim. Don't get mad at me for this. Don't. Ooh, you about to be mad at me. When I first reached out to you about, you know, gun laws and stuff, and I had questions and concerns, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I was learning about how much more restrictive gun regulations are in Philadelphia than they are anywhere else, which is basically why I reached out to you in the first place. I said to you then, not knowing what FOAC was, I didn't know who you were in relation to FOAC, hadn't heard of FOAC yet. I just heard, oh yeah, there's this guy named Kim Stolfer who knows a lot about gun laws in Pennsylvania. He can answer your questions. So I called you, and during that first conversation we ever had, I said to you, you know, I think I might just join the NRA, because I had no idea that there are hundreds of Second Amendment advocacy groups. I thought the NRA was the only one. And you said to me, well, you can do that if you want, or you could join my organization, Firearms Owners Against Crime. We fight specifically for Second Amendment rights right here in Pennsylvania. And you explained to me what you were. You said to me in that conversation that FOAC was a no compromise group. So do you still see it that way, or do you think what you're saying and doing now is kind of a compromise?
No, I don't see that at all. I see that we supported the rights of Joel Kohler to make a decision. We've already told the legislature we're directly opposed to Senate Bill 413, 414, and banning these devices, period. And they will be rated on that. And actually, everybody else that's throwing Joel Kohler under the bus is compromising, in my opinion. And I guess I could, if you want an outside analysis of why I said to you what I did, then I'll fall back on an article written in 2008, which I'd be happy to give anyone, where the Philly Inquirer said that Pennsylvania is home to all of these things in his 3-page article, and also home to Firearms Owners Against Crime, the group that makes the NRA look like a bunch of liberal bedwetters. That's what they said in print. The fact of the matter is the legislature knows. We've told them no more compromise, period. You've got too many laws as it is. And we're coming back for the ones you got. And that's why every bill that's been introduced here in Pennsylvania thus far has been written by us or for us by legislators who trust us. And if you want to see the pro-gun bills, go up and look on our page. You want to see the lineage of them? I have all the emails to show when we were writing them, when we were getting them introduced, our interactions with legislators. There's probably going to be people listening to this that think that this is not the case. I'm going to tell you, you don't think so? Send me an email. I'll be happy to deal with it. I'll show you. But the fact of the matter is we are serious about this. We're all volunteers. And for everybody listening, I'm not paid to do this. Okay. And part of the misinformation that was put out there generated hundreds of phone calls to my personal home and death threats to me. Some of them through my wife. So anybody that thinks that's an appropriate way to deal with a person without reaching out and talking to them or basing it on an article where I didn't get to say everything is sadly mistaken in my eyes. And I don't deserve that. Neither does anybody in FOAC. We work really hard and we're really effective at doing what we do. And we've stopped thousands of laws, thousands, literally, of anti-gun laws. And nobody's ever said thank you for any of that. But nobody else has helped us. Okay? So we've been on the front lines. We're standing on the wall and we're protecting everybody's rights to make a decision. And we don't compromise, period.
Right. The person who mentioned that the website guidelines aren't necessarily the law of the land just said that they remember reading that Philadelphia banned Polymer 80s altogether anyway. Is that accurate? I guess Representative Brown already logged off, so he's not here to answer that one. To your knowledge, is there a ban against Polymer 80s in Philadelphia?
I believe that was part of a package they tried to introduce. I don't know if it was finally signed into law, but it doesn't matter because our 2 lawsuits to reaffirm preemption, where we have spent almost $150,000 on of our own money. The only other group that helped us was Firearms Policy Coalition, okay, is meant to take and reset the standard that they cannot do this. We've sued Pittsburgh and we've sued Harrisburg for preemption, and everything Philadelphia has done in that regard has been shot down by the courts. The problem is we need to get the preemption strengthening bill, House Bill 979 passed. And that's why I want people to go to Harrisburg and help us. Because if we can get that passed, then all these communities that are doing this then have to pay our legal fees. Right now, we can't get our legal fees back. And it's enormously destructive because we can't, if we have to spend the money there, we can't spend it on getting good people elected. It's one hand feeds the other, you know? So Philadelphia doing that, it's been a perennial problem. And gun owners, for the large part, have been letting them get away. And we've been scraping together shoelaces to try to patch the dike like the little Dutch boy.
Okay, I can dig it. All right, so we've now been, I guess we started about 5 minutes late. So, well, not quite 5, maybe 2 minutes late. So we've now been about 1 hour and 13 minutes. I don't see any more questions coming in on the chat. I think we're all set unless you had anything else. Oh, who's this? Mr. Stoker.
Oh, Jim Stoker. He's one of our board members.
Don't mind
Okay.
me, gents. I just jumped in to see if you were still here and needed anything. I just got out of my other meeting. Apologies.
No problem. We were actually just wrapping up. Thanks for joining us. Representative Brown was here. He answered some questions. Kim answered some questions. Some details got out on the table. One person that was sending in questions said, you know, they were glad we hosted this, but they weren't satisfied with the answers. But I mean, you're not going to satisfy everyone.
Yeah, we need to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Stoker, I don't know you. I don't believe we've met before. Maybe we were in an FOAC meeting together, you know, the same meeting together at some point. We're pretty much wrapped up here. We're a little bit over time now, but if you had anything you wanted to add, any thoughts, anything you wanted to contribute?
No, sir. Just stopped in case I could be of any service. That's all.
Okay. Well, thanks for popping in.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Jim.
Yeah, sorry for the
All
delay.
right,
My other meeting went over too long. All right, gents. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Happens.
I want to thank everybody that chimed in and questions they had. And if they have any further questions, you can reach us through the website, through our Facebook pages. We have a number of them and be happy to answer them. And if you want any evidence proving what I said tonight, instead of people calling me liars, feel free to send it to me. I'll be happy to prove it. Thank you very much for
Sounds good.
attending.
Sounds good.
So should we wrap it up, Thurston?
Yeah, I believe so. Everyone, thanks for coming. And I guess you can shut down the live.
Okay.